it's Red. So today I'm going to be reviewing Rite of Rejection by Sarah, I'm really sorry, Negovetich. I really can't say it. Negovetich? I can't say it. I'm sorry. I'm really sorry. So I was actually sent this book for review, and when I first read the synopsis for it, I was so excited because it just sounded so good. It sounded awesome. Basically, Rite of Rejection is about this society where at the age of 16, everybody goes through an acceptance ceremony. And when they go through this acceptance ceremony, basically they put their hands on this machine, and this machine determines whether or not they are, like, they have an inner criminal, like whether or not they will commit a crime one day. And if you pass, you know, you can continue, start your family, you know, eventually get picked for your job, all of that. But if you get rejected, then you're considered a criminal. Then you get thrown into the pit, which is the permanent, I forgot what the pit stands for, but it's the pit. And that's where all these criminals are. All these criminals, you know, it's basically, there's some guards and stuff, but overall it's pretty unregulated. You get the main character, Rebecca. Her entire life, she has been ready to pass the acceptance ceremony, be able to get married, have kids, fall in love, and do everything that's ever been expected of her. Unfortunately, what ends up happening is she ends up being rejected. She's done everything right her entire life, and she ends up rejected. So she ends up getting tossed into the pit, and she meets a group of people there where she kind of wedges her way into the group, and it kind of goes from there. But in the pit, there's murder, there's rape, just everything horrific happens in the pit, and now she's right in the middle of it. Now, as much as I hate to rate it this way, I really do, because I really wanted to like this book more, but to give an honest review, I'm gonna have to say I'm gonna rate it 2 mermaids out of 5. I will also link Kelly and Emma's reviews down below. They had a little bit of higher ratings than I did, so I will link those down below so that you can go and check out their reviews and kind of make up your mind on your own. But I think the biggest problem for me were the characters. I didn't really care for the main character. I found her pretty unrelatable. I found her rather flat, and I just overall kind of didn't care about her. And I really like well-rounded characters that I care about what happens to them. That's the best way for me to be invested in the story. And unfortunately, the other characters weren't much better. I did kind of like Molly and Elizabeth. They were pretty good, but considering they weren't even the main characters, it just kind of wasn't enough for me. The other thing too is that the love triangle. I was not feeling the love triangle whatsoever. I was not invested in the romance at all. And I don't know, not that I mind romance, but this one was just not my cup of tea. It just wasn't. I was just not very impressed by it. Now to talk about what I did like about this book. And what I did like was the world building. She did an absolutely fantastic job at world building. I mean, fantastic. I always thought, despite the fact that you guys know that Hunger Games isn't always my favorite, I am deathly afraid of the Hunger Games. Deathly afraid of it, because Suzanne Collins did a great job of writing this horrific world. And Sarah did the same thing. It's not like the same world at all. It's not the same world at all, but she did a fantastic job of creating one of the worst worlds you could possibly live in. I mean, it's horrible, horrific. It would be terrifying to live in this world. And she really thought through the society, through everything. She has great world building skills. I cannot emphasize that enough, that if I go through one of those tags and it asks what world I would not want to live in, normally I say Pan Am, and I'm pretty much, I don't know, I might say the Rite of Rejection world, because it is pretty damn scary. Also, I feel like there were a few moments in there too where I feel like the emotion was portrayed very well, like when she's first going through the process of going into the pit and she has to get her hair shaved off. It's the way she writes it, and there's a part, you know, and it's not a spoiler, but it's a very small part that somehow I just really appreciated. And they're not supposed to have anything going into the pit. But she forgets that she has bobby pins in her hair from the ceremony. And basically this guard like rips the bobby pins out and she starts crying saying she's sorry, she forgot. And something about that scene, it just got to me. It was just so sad and heartbreaking because it's just, I really felt like, you know, if I was in that situation, that's exactly how I would be feeling. Just this total devastation. And that was another thing that I felt she did really well. The reason I gave it 2 stars is despite what I really, really loved about the book, unfortunately, I would just, and this is my personal preference here, this might not be everybody, but my personal preference, if I had to choose, I would rather have stronger characters and a weaker world than a stronger world and weaker characters, because I feel like I deal with the characters more than I deal with the world. You still deal with the world a lot, but not quite as much as you do about the characters. And unfortunately, if if they aren't characters that I enjoy and they're not characters that I want to root for, then unfortunately it just makes the rest of the book harder for me to read. And that might not be everybody, but that is my personal preference, is that pretty much any book will get a lower rating for me if they do not have at least somewhat strong characters, because that is just vital to me for enjoying a story. So that is the reason I gave it 2 stars. I almost gave it 3. I was kind of going back and forth between the 2 or 3 stars, mermaids, whatever I'm doing. It was really, really almost a 3 because the world building was really good. So I'm just going to say it's a solid 2.5 because it's not really like a straight 2, but it's not a full 3 for me because it was just okay. Rating it 2 stars doesn't mean that I disliked it. It doesn't mean that I hated it. It just means that I just found it okay. But because I loved the world building so much, that's why I probably give it another half a star in there. I still highly recommend that you check her book out. Again, I will link Kelly and Emma's reviews down below. They have, slightly different perspectives and opinions on the book than I do. So if you're ready for a great dystopian, we're talking fantastic, great, disturbing world, this is absolutely the book for you. Absolutely. That is all for this video. I will have more videos up soon, and I will talk to you guys later.